That's a big mistake that celebrities make. You don't ever want to do that.
I know we can't do any taxes, but we need to open the closed firehouses and reinstate the numbers to protect our citizens. It was very scary to be at the National Institute of Health because it really opened my eyes to what could really happen. It doesn't take much to make it happen, and it just sucked all the resources out.
From the famous Acme Theater in Hollywood, it's the Gregory Mantell Show.
Today, Bolt, the celebrity bodyguard, tells you how he protects his stars from paparazzi and stalkers, and he has some personal safety tips for you as well. He's the author of the upcoming book, The Celebrity Bodyguard Manual. And later in the show, David Furtado, creator of the web series Battalion, tells you why budget cuts and staff cuts in the fire department may be jeopardizing lives and homeland security. But up first, Bolt the bodyguard. Great to have you here today, Bolt.
Good to be here.
So I know you've worked with some of the biggest names in the business as far as the movies and singers and across the board, but sometimes they make mistakes and you're there to protect them. What kind of mistakes do the stars make when it comes to
Well, there's
security?
a lot of risks that celebrities have, and some of the direct risks are assault and kidnapping, murder, even theft off their person. And some of the indirect risks that they have are threats and intimidation. So we just try to eliminate them kind of things. But a lot of times you'll find that celebrities make mistakes and compromise their safety. A good example of that is like the recent break-in of Paris Hilton's home.
Yeah, yeah. You wonder how something like that happens.
Well, yes, and if there's some smart criminals out there, and if you take and you want to break into her home, it's not that hard to do. Because
but you think she has a guard or something?
She does. She has probably 3 guards on her property, you know.
And they still get in?
But they'll still get in. I don't care what security measures you take. There's always a weakness. There's always some way to get through security. The best thing you do is just do all that you can do, whether it's bodyguards or it's surveillance equipment or whatever it may be. And see, in like her case, one thing that she did wrong is a few months prior, she was on the Ellen DeGeneres show and she invited cameras into her home.
Oh.
That's a big mistake because they can see exactly where the flat screen TVs are, where what she has in her closets and all of that stuff.
I always think of that when people do celebrity interviews at home.
Yes, and that MTV has cribs or whatever they have where they take people in and show them, you know, celebrities' homes, and that's a big mistake that celebrities make. You don't ever want to do that.
So you tell your clients not to do that?
Yes, yes. I do security assessments and I try to protect them in any way I can, and that's one thing that I do, and I advise, do not let cameras into your home. And to go along with that, I mean, if the media and if you are in trouble with the law at your home or have a domestic issue when you're a celebrity, your address is going to get out there. So whether it be law enforcement or the media, your address is going to get out there. And one of the easiest tools to check out someone's property is Google Earth. I can Google in on Paris's house and know exactly what's on her back patio, her stairs that are hidden on the left side of her house, see what's on her balcony. That's another tool. You use that in conjunction with television footage, and you can study the property.
Wow, pretty scary actually.
Yeah,
for
so there's
lots
lots of things that you really got to watch out for, and that's one of the mistakes that I feel that Paris Hilton has made and other celebrities. And another thing is, if you're a celebrity, I wouldn't buy another celebrity's home because good chances are their house may have been on camera at one time. So if you're going to buy a house and you're a celebrity, I advise buying one that no one else that is in the limelight that has had. And
build a new one or something.
Yeah, build a new one. And try not to be in the media as far as the law goes. So.
Well, you know, the other thing I noticed was I think Paula Abdul had a break-in where she was in an award show, and while she was at the award show, they were cleaning out her house. So I guess you have that kind of thing to worry about because everybody knows you're going to be at the award show, and so. And
that happened to Tim McGraw and Faith Hill also. And the thing is that you bring up another point there is also good criminals. They're going to know your away habits and when you're home. So you got to change it up a little bit. Never do anything the same. Don't be repetitive. Try to change it up.
And so you also do that with your clients?
Yes, yes. Yes.
And is that hard to do? Because I'm a person with routine. I like to follow my routine.
We all are.
So, but you have to consciously change it every day? Is
yeah,
that how you...
and you do. And everyday person, too, is the same way. They need to change their routine up. If you go jogging at night, you know, change your routine up. Don't go the same way all the time. Even if you go to the store, you know, and you're walking, don't go the same way every time, but make sure the way you do go, you're familiar with it. Go a couple of extra blocks sometimes the other way around.
Never know who's watching, I guess, these days.
You never know who's watching you. Yeah. So that's very important. And then, you know, and also as far as everyday people go, if you're doing that to protect yourself, you know, these days I would carry, and you know, it doesn't hurt for people to carry mace in their purse or whatever, or even what's popular these days is stun guns. They're only like $35. I mean, they're
like
relatively
tasers and stuff like
tasers.
That,
you know, and you know, they'll put a guy my size down. I mean, so.
But they could also be misused, though, right? I mean, that's
they
the way
can be misused also.
To mug somebody is to
exactly.
Taser them. Well, you also had some examples when we were talking earlier about things like when celebrities go shopping, and you hear about like the snatch and grabs with what the purses or the shopping bags, and you even have advice for about how to shop properly.
Yes, yes. If you're walking down the street and you have a shopping bag, I advise to keep that between you and the building. That doesn't leave it open to the other side of the sidewalk where someone can grab it and run. And if I have a client that's walking with a bag and the bag is towards the street, I put myself just to that side behind the bag so that there's a barrier between me and someone that wants to grab it. And when you find that if you're on Rodeo Drive or something like that, you know, they know you've got money, and that's when you really got to watch out.
So it does happen?
Yes.
Has anybody tried it when you were there?
No one tried it when I was there.
Not with bolts, though. Because I heard Paris Hilton.
They're pointing at me, hey, look at his bodyguard, so no.
I know Paris Hilton, to go back to her in the news, like for Mother's Day, she was having something delivered to her mother, and somebody grabbed it from the delivery person in front of the house or something and got away with it. So I guess even, not from her personally, I think, but from the delivery person, they were waiting. And anyway, so snatch and grab in a lot of ways.
It happens a lot. It really does. And that goes along with everyday people. I mean, if you're walking down the street, use them tips. If you have a fanny bag, or, you know, put it in front of you, don't wear it in back of you. You know, keep things right there where you can grab a hold of it.
Well, the time is flying by here and we're almost out of time, but how dangerous is this for the average celebrity? I mean, you hear about, you know, everything from the paparazzi chasing them to stalkers, and you know, do you feel like your life is in your hands every time you go out there, or is it not that?
I don't think of it. I don't really think of the danger, but the danger is there. Some of my bodyguards want to wear bulletproof vests. I normally don't, but yeah, it can be dangerous. You never know what's going to happen. As far as the paparazzi go, a lot of them are good, but then you get some that are extreme.
Is that a bigger problem than the criminals these days, or not?
It's probably about the same. Well. But yeah, and you'll find some celebrities, they want the attention. The ones that they'll want to be taken through the paparazzi. They'll want the love, you know.
Which you probably don't like.
Which I prefer not to do. But my job is to guide them away from that and guide them away from any threats that may be out there. But some of them like to go through it, and that's still my job to take care of them when they do.
Well, I'm sorry we're out of time, but thank you very much, both. The Bodyguard, we'll look for your book, The Celebrity Bodyguard Manual, and your show is Celebrity Onset?
Yes.
Coming up?
Yes.
On the web? And
yes, on the web.
Up next, David Furtado, the creator of the web series The Battalion, with a behind-the-scenes look at issues facing the fire department. Is public safety at risk? We'll be right back. And we are back. Joining me now is David Furtado, creator of the web series The Battalion. For the past 2 years, he's traveled around the country and taped some of the nation's busiest firehouses in action. His behind-the-scenes look has shown him that budget cuts and staff cuts could harm public safety and homeland security. Great to have you here today, David.
Thanks for having me, Gregory.
I might be in for it today, but it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So what have you seen out there on the road with these fire departments?
Well, I've seen a lot as a civilian, not yet a firefighter. As a civilian, I've probably been on more calls and incidents than probably anybody around the world. I've been on probably about 3,000 incidents. I've really seen it all.
You're an honorary fireman now.
In D.C., I'm considered an honorary firefighter. Really? I'm in full turnouts there, and I wrap hose, do the whole thing, and they've actually taught me how to drive the engine. The last time I was in D.C., they took me out to training. So.
If I see you coming down the street here, I'm going to be concerned.
Well, if it's sideways, you'll know it's me.
But 3,000 calls.
About 3,000 calls since I started filming in 2003 with the city of San Francisco. So I've been filming now for almost 7 years.
But some of the things, though, you told me that you've seen, though, number one is just that there's not enough money these days. Well,
yeah, during the Bush administration, to my understanding, the budget cuts for emergency services were up to 45%. We are seeing, and even in LA, there's several times that I've seen maybe an engine go by with 3 members in it, another engine with 2, and a truck with 2. And an engine can seat 6 first responders. Some cities' budgets have been cut so much that they're either having brownouts where a firefighter will come into the station, they've closed that station for the day, those particular members have to go to other fire stations within that municipality.
And it could be further away from the homes in that area.
Exactly. A lot of different cities have a lot of different particular problems. San Francisco, all the firefighters they can't afford to live in San Francisco, so they all live, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours away. So if a big incident happens there, it's going to be those 12 members in that one station that have to take care of 1,000, 2,000 people.
There are only 12 firefighters actually based in San Francisco?
Well, no. Each station has about 12 members.
Okay.
Yeah, so each location, but still you have thousands of people around that one station house. So if and when we ever get a big hit, if it happens in San Francisco, there could be a problem in any major city.
Meaning a terrorist attack or something?
Yes, exactly, a terrorist attack. And so it depending on the particular city. San Francisco has been lucky enough in the past few years to get money through Homeland Security funding. So, because they're one of the major targets, but there's a lot of other cities that don't have that funding. And if it wasn't for the Homeland Security funding, we wouldn't have what we have now. The state funding's been cut back, the federal funding's been cut back, which means the cities don't get any funding. Some cities that used to be able to use an engine for 10 years now have to try to use that same engine for 25 years. 25 years. Due to the fact that they know 10 years down the road, they're still not going to have the money to buy new apparatus.
And so what does this mean, for the person at home? I mean, how are some of the ways that, obviously just, poor response, I'm taking it, that there are fewer people and old equipment?
It really depends on the particular municipality. City of Los Angeles and the County of Los Angeles are in very good shape. San Francisco is in really good shape. It depends on what city it is. People in the Midwest, Oklahoma, Phoenix, people like that are still very busy areas aren't getting the funding. I work out in Prince George's County in Maryland, and I was with an engine company there, Engine 25, and it was just the driver who was a paid firefighter, and a lieutenant was a volunteer, and me in the back by myself going on call.
You were on the crew.
I was like part of the crew.
The volunteer fireman.
Well, kind of.
And so I mean,
it's across the country, it really changes. And a lot of firehouses have been closed, and a lot of the numbers have been cut back. And my plight, let's call it, for what I've been doing with my series, has been to open up the eyes of the citizens across the nation. I know we don't have any money. I know we can't do any taxes, but we need to open the closed firehouses and reinstate the numbers to protect our citizens.
And so, do you know that firemen have been hurt as a result? If you said there's only one driver and you on the truck, do firemen get hurt, or have you seen, like houses burned down because there weren't enough people to?
I have never seen a fireman hurt because of it during my filming, and I've never seen any building or structure or any damage because the firefighters have not arrived. But I've been filming in San Francisco. When you get a fire call in San Francisco, a battalion shows up. Because if one building goes, you can lose a block like in 20 minutes. So they go, why does everybody show up? Well, because that's the kind of situation you have in. So each thing's been really different. I'm also working in a 100% volunteer fire station in Kentland. They're very world famous. These guys are the best of the best.
And you said this is one of the busiest fire departments in the country?
If you look at the national standings, Washington, D.C. at Engine 10, where I film, is the busiest engine company in the nation.
Yeah.
Engine 33 in Landover, Maryland, the Kentland Fire Company, is 100% volunteer, and they are the second busiest engine company in the nation.
And can you give us an example of what that means?
Well, what that means is I could be in San Francisco and we may get 9 calls a day, and most of them are medical calls. I went to more fires in my first 21 days in Washington, D.C. than I went to in 5 years in San Francisco.
Wow.
At Engine 10, we were getting 40 calls a day. So I would get there at 4:30 in the morning. We'd be out by 5 o'clock, and sometimes not even. We'd try to get back for lunch. We'd sit down. As soon as we sit down, we're gone again. So they'd cover our food. We'd come back at 3 o'clock maybe to be able to have lunch because there's so many calls.
Why is it so much busier in D.C.?
I would say part of the reason is just the kind of neighborhoods. I mean, D.C. is known to be the #1 capital for people getting killed, and I've been on several calls where we've seen that. One of my shows with Engine 26, there's a gentleman that got shot, and so
one of the guys on the series. So were you?
I was there. Yeah, I was there. A guy got shot. We arrived on scene, before anybody else got there, and that's in one of our shows. And I've really seen everything.
Is he okay or?
No, he's dead. He died. Yeah, it was brain matter on the sidewalk. But I've seen those calls are hard, but the calls with the children where, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and people don't realize this about firefighters, is they're first responders. In San Francisco, we responded to a call where there was a gentleman that was up on his stomach in a hallway, and he was passed out. I was about 18 feet down the hallway. All the first responders came and started working on him, and he started spewing all over them. Turned out that he had tuberculosis, hepatitis C, very ill. Everybody there had to go burn their clothes and had to start being on regiments of medicine and be checked for the next year, every first responder. People don't understand that every medical call is as dangerous for a firefighter as it is for a police officer that's going against the gun. There's a lot of different things, and the more depressed the neighborhood, like Skid Row or different places, the more that these first responders are really putting their life on the line, even on every single medical call. People don't understand that.
We'll be right back.
They head back to the station. The crew of 2 respond to a box alarm. When they arrive on scene, the lieutenant must drop the line at the hydrant by himself and run to the scene with the line. Due to government cutbacks, this is how some departments, both paid and combination paid and volunteers, must deal with the call volume.
We are back with David Furtado talking about his web series, The Battalion. Well, you had mentioned that incident where the person was sick and, risked getting other people sick as well. Because the fire department is responding to medical calls too. They're they run the ambulances in
nationwide. The firefighters now you have to be an EMT. You have to be an emergency medical technician to be a firefighter now, and they show up before the ambulance does. In D.C., the engine company they're first on the scene. Pretty much everywhere I film, they're first on the scene, then the ambulance comes, and the EMTs come in and will pick up, but they check all the vitals and take care of them.
Now, how does that, when you mentioned the budget cuts and the staff cuts in the fire department, how does it affect that side of it?
Well, the good thing is that everybody's an EMT. The older departments, some of the older firefighters don't have to become EMTs in some cities. In Washington, D.C., even the older firefighters have to go and get their EMT certification. It's called cross-training. So right now, D.C. is doing a tremendous amount of cross-training, so that it doesn't matter if it's a firefighter or it's somebody from the ambulance, they're going to be able to be there and be able to take care of that person and their needs.
But yet, if you're kind of double or cross-trained, then couldn't it almost be that, what if you have, the fire and the accident at the same time?
Well, that's the problem with staffing in regards to something big happening. As soon as something big happens, there's nobody there. In fact, there is one of my shows with the National Institute of Health,
right.
Which was not an experiment, but it was a training that went on that I filmed there, that they were filming in case there was any sarin gas that went off during the inauguration.
Right, for Obama.
And if you watch that show, you can see that we're out there where there's only 30 people where the sarin gas blew up, and then you cut the shot, the fire department is empty. There's not a piece of apparatus in there. So even a small little thing like that is taking away everybody. If a house burnt down the street or an auto accident, there's nobody at that firehouse to go out and take care of that. That's part of the staffing problems across the nation.
And does that happen? I mean, there's nobody to respond?
It hasn't happened in anywhere that I have filmed,
okay,
or in where I've been around. But that one show shows that it can happen. You know, it's the thing about our nation is we need more first responders because they are cross-trained, and we need them across the nation. We don't know if they're going to go and poison the water in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or it's going to be in Los Angeles. So anything could happen at any time, and we need to be prepared for that, and we need more.
Well, when you mentioned the inauguration, what was it like to be a part of that, the behind-the-scenes planning? Because, I mean, on the one hand, they were planning for some awful things.
It was very scary. It was very scary to be in this at the New Hampshire, or at the, excuse me, it was, can we take that again?
NIH.
NIH. It was very scary to be at the National Institute of Health during this particular training that they were doing, because it really opened my eyes to what could really happen. It doesn't take much to make it happen, and it just sucked all the resources out. And then I was filming with them. I was with the hazmat unit during the 24 hours during the inauguration in Washington, D.C. And as everybody knows, nothing happened.
Because I was there in D.C. also covering the Creative Coalition inaugural ball, and you helped me out with that. But I know you were very tight-lipped about what else was going on down the street, because I knew you were coming from something, but we didn't know why.
There's a lot of things that I see, and there's a lot of things that I know that I can't talk about. What I'd like to talk about quickly to make sure I get in is people need to understand what these first responders go through. What it's like to put a child in an ambulance at 10 o'clock in the morning and then go through the day maybe helping a family whose father is dying of cancer and have to wheel them out. These are still just human beings, and they have to see this day in and day out, and it wears on them. And people don't understand that. They think, oh, they're at the market shopping, they're doing this. You know, they only work 24 hours, every 3 or 4 days. But that 24 hours is grueling.
So they're on for 24 hours, and then I have 3 days off. And
they go back and do another 24.
And it's especially in D.C. and all places, though, it's just nonstop of fires and car accidents.
It's nonstop. It is nonstop. Ambulances are going 24 hours a day in D.C. There's not a moment that I'm not at somewhere and you hear ambulances and there's stuff going on. There's not a moment there's not something going on. There's fires going on. The last time I filmed in D.C., I went into the headquarters at 4:30 in the morning to have a meeting, and by 5 o'clock, I was out the door with the chief, or the assistant chief, to a fire filming in the snow. We came back, I went into another meeting, there was another fire downtown. I was with the deputy chief to this fire downtown, and my plane left at 10 o'clock. And they got me, I got to the airport on time, but those are 2 huge fires within that short period of time.
One issue that sometimes comes up is the question of female firefighters.
Yes.
Some people don't think that's a good idea. In fact, you've told me, actually, if you don't mind my saying, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but you've told me that officially some people will say, oh yeah, at the firehouse, female firefighter is great, no problem. But then off camera, they're like, we don't want them here.
The older generation of firefighters, those, gung-ho guys, don't like women firefighters in the house of any sort. The more of the younger people understand that women firefighters, to me, are very important. They bring compassion. Firefighters, the big guys, when they're doing the gung-ho thing, it could be a mother and a child that's got pulled out, and so there's another thing that where the women would go and be more compassionate with that person, such as all the firefighters would be.
But their concern is they're not strong enough to do the job.
Their concern is they're not strong enough, but it's been a boys' club for so many years. It's just, it's like any boys' club. But my thing is that if you can do the job, you should be able to do the job. And many of the women firefighters not only can do the job, but a lot of them are more technical than some of the other firefighters. I know several lieutenants in San Francisco, Lieutenant Nicole Juravac, that knows way more about structure and buildings, and she can look at stuff and knows more than a lot of the men firefighters. So my belief is if they can do the job, they should do the job.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I know you're working to take this series from the web to TV. Yeah.
Yes, I've just signed a co-production deal with a very well-known reality producer and a well-known reality production company here in Los Angeles. I myself have been talking to some of the, let's say, the cable networks for a period of time, and so we're hoping to be able to bring what I'm going to call the real rescue me, but what the real job is about, what these people go through day in, day out to the masses via the television as well.
Well, we look forward to seeing that on TV. Thank you very much, David Furtado, from the web series The Battalion, coming soon to TV. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.